down in a very an explosive situation, frankly.
I mean, soon after she was gunned down, shot in the face 3 times, DHS didn't hesitate, immediately came out and referred to her as a domestic terrorist. And what that does is it signals to other ICE agents that they can behave with impunity, that the federal government will come to their defense regardless of what happens.
So welcome back to this channel, guys. In this clip, we're going to watch Ana Kasparian talk to the panel at Newsnight with Abby Phillips about what's going on with ICE and what happened with Renee Good. Ana Kasparian bringing up the part that she was already labeled as a domestic terrorist. So this is Newsnight with Abby Phillips. Tonight, it looks like Ana Navarro from The View is on there. They're also going to talk about Joe Rogan, saying that Joe Rogan is kind of done with Trump because of this type of behavior coming out of this administration. So we're going to watch Ana Kasparian break it all down on Newsnight with Abby Phillip, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a good debate happening here. Let's go ahead and get into it.
So no, they have done nothing to calm tensions. In fact, one can suspect, and this is speculation, of course, that the federal government seems to have an interest in increasing the tension, and I'm worried that Trump is angling to call for martial law.
Who's asking folks to take to the streets right now in angry protest?
We live in America.
No, I know, but
where
you're saying
protest
that they're
is
not
legal.
doing anything. I'm not saying it's not legal. It clearly is. But
you
this
seem to have
idea,
an issue with it.
No, I have an issue with people who are taking to the streets and creating the tension, and then you saying that
Do you
the
have an
federal
issue
government
with
isn't doing
ICE
anything
agents
to turn
knocking
down
people to the ground simply because they're recording the operations that they're conducting?
In cases, if that happens, I think that should be called out. But let's also stop pretending that the folks who aren't turning up aren't the ones who are engaging in not just legal protests, but they're turning violent. Their intent is to create an action from ICE agents so that they could film it, so they can post it online and have folks like you
don't
defend
flooding Minneapolis with 1,000 ICE agents who are just acting like absolute thugs.
I think ICE agents
tensions?
are under attack and they deserve protection.
Doesn't look like that from the video.
The reason people came out to protest is because I think there's a lot of outrage, anger, indignation at the extreme, cruel, performative tactics that some ICE agents have taken, at the racial profiling. Would feel differently, but right now what you are seeing is a federal government that is not investigating what happened. They're trying to investigate the dead woman and her spouse. They're not cooperating with this. Yeah, but
FBI protocols don't start with the criminal justice.
Why are they not cooperating with the state?
FBI's own
Okay, but do you think it would be a much more credible investigation if they were cooperating with state and municipal law enforcement?
If the investigation unit, the inspection unit, if they feel that there is a criminal referral to the Civil Rights Division, then they do it. That's what happens in every case. I don't know what will happen, right? I can't predict that. But to say there's no investigation,
you think 6 U.S. attorneys resigned
You have the local attorney general saying he's going to conduct an investigation. You have the local
and you have 6 U.S. attorneys who resigned.
Joe, they don't have access. The locals are not being given access to the evidence. But the other
if they handle a grand jury, they get
why are these prosecutors being pressured to investigate the widow of the person who was just killed?
In every police-involved shooting, the actions of the victim, and in this case, she's the victim.
A criminal investigation
in every police-involved shooting,
of the person
in every police-involved shooting, the victim's actions and the contributing factors to that shooting, whether they
No, I'm not talking about the victim. I'm talking about the
did an action
wife
that caused the shot.
The victim's wife, exactly.
The victim's wife, and if there is a need to launch a criminal investigation into the victim's wife, at the very least, you would think that the person who pulled the trigger would also prompt a similar investigation.
Let me say this. I think we need a public service announcement for anyone who's involved with some of these groups that are pressuring individuals to go and provoke law enforcement officers. If someone's pressuring you to go out there and provoke law enforcement officers,
we live in a third world country where
they're doing that to invoke a reaction of violence from the officers so that they can, as you pointed out before, Jason, they can rant, rally, and rave about what just happened. But you might be the victim of violence, whether it's intentional, accidental, or not.
Wait a second.
Provoke officers.
Let me break this down. So
break it down.
So what you are saying that if Americans decide to go into the streets and disobey law enforcement, they deserve to be brutalized by the police,
that's your
maybe
word.
shot by them? Is that what you're saying?
That's what you're implying.
Because I think
That's what you're implying.
there's a real
Why don't you let me finish?
But hold on, there's a real question on the table. You guys keep saying you're putting yourself in that situation. What kind of protest is okay with you?
Before he answers that question, there's a couple of things that I will say in this situation. Abby Phillip, Ana Navarro, and Ana Kasparian are doing a pretty good job making their points, but some of this I've calmed down off of at this point. Nothing is going to get done. When it comes to the widow, don't tell me about the so-called widow, because I'm going to fully side with ICE completely. That girl was annoying to watch on the video. I wanted to come through the video. I couldn't stand her behavior. Like, you are not a man, okay? Because a real man, to be honest, would not allow his wife to be out there in the streets and carrying on and doing all this stuff. Protests are necessary, but obviously they're not getting anywhere. I just don't see the point. Like, I mean, now I'm starting to really kind of look at things a certain way. It's starting to frustrate me. I still don't trust this agency of ICE. Who are they and stuff? But the arguments that are constantly made, it's like, okay, now they're racial profiling. Well, that's the point. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's like, yeah, if you have an accent, it does scare me a little bit, because my parents have accents and they are certainly citizens of the United States of America. I mean, they've been citizens long before I think I was even born, so please. But at the same time, there is a bit of profiling. You have to profile your target. That's ridiculous to make that statement. So some of it gets so emotional where I'm just like, oh, all right, let's look at a little bit more of this, and we'll go from there.
Parts that don't involve the impediment of law enforcement doing their constitutionally protected duty of enforcing the laws.
So what about filming an ICE officer?
Filming an ICE officer is fine.
What about
impeding the officer's ability? It's taken in context.
I want to be very specific. Okay. I want to be very specific.
Okay, give me a chance to respond.
A lot of videos. I'm going to ask you one by one. Filming an ICE officer, you think that's okay?
If the camera is in front of the officer executing his duty, then no.
Yelling at an ICE officer, that's okay?
If it's just yelling, then that's fine.
What about
working at Target?
What about?
Let's be honest.
No, hold on a second. What about driving in a car behind an ICE officer and filming them? Is that okay?
Why are we talking about this when the accident had happened? The incident that happened.
I'm just asking
was
you,
a person who hit an officer with a car.
You're the one making a blanket statement about
attacks on ICE agents are up 3,000.
But Abby, like, now you're starting to get on my nerves. Like, a lot of these people are getting in their faces and doing stuff and playing themselves. This is not a real protest. A lot of this stuff is done by paid actors or whatever. People could get mad and say there's no left and right, which I really don't, but it doesn't matter. We're fighting a certain kind of proxy left and right type of war that needs to be discussed in the full reality. And so all this is like, well, can you go behind them? Can you do blah, blah, blah? It's like, really, Abby, come on, chill out. The people need to get their job done. And that's just it. My thing is that I don't see what job is getting done. They said that 3,000 ICE agents arrested and got 3,000 people from Minneapolis. I don't see that reported officially, and where was the footage of that? Because here's the thing about PR. If I was ICE and I'm getting all the bad footage on me, I'm going to get the footage of me doing my job, so people can see, hey, there's a reason why we're out here. I'm still not seeing that. So those are my questions. But the emotional stuff, you can miss me with that.